You feed him, you take him to the vet, you rearrange your entire schedule around his walks. You've turned down plans, good ones, because you didn't want to leave him alone too long. You tell yourself, and anyone who will listen, that he needs you. But here's the question that science has been quietly answering for the last several decades. What if you have that completely backwards? What if your dog doesn't need you nearly as much as you need him? The data makes a case that most dog owners are not prepared to hear, and it starts with a number that will stop you cold. Most dog owners operate from the same assumption. The dog is dependent. We are the caretaker. We provide everything: shelter, food, safety, love. Without us, he wouldn't make it. That assumption feels so obviously true that most people have never once thought to question it. But here is what researchers studying global dog populations have found, and it quietly upends everything you just assumed. Because only 20% of the world's dogs live the way yours does. The other 80% have already answered the question for us. Of the estimated 1 billion dogs on this planet, only about 200 million live in homes with dedicated human caregivers. The other 800 million dogs, the majority of the species, are free-ranging. Stray, village, feral, living on their own, without us. India alone has approximately 62 million stray dogs. The United States has an estimated 70 million. Researcher Jessica Pierce, who has studied these populations extensively, put it plainly: dogs would have a pretty good shot at surviving without us. They form their own social groups, they find food, they navigate environments that we didn't design for them. They do exactly what living creatures do when they're left to their own instincts. Yes, a pet dog living on the street faces real danger: cars, disease, a shortened life. Stray dogs live an average of 3 to 5 years, compared to 12 to 15 for dogs in homes. But researchers are careful to note that this isn't because dogs can't survive without us. It's largely because of human-made threats: roads, cities, predation, not any inherent inability to function. The canine species as a whole is not dependent on us to survive. But here's where the data turns completely. Because what happens to humans without dogs is a different story entirely. And the research on that side of the equation is far more alarming than most people realize. Here's what researchers find when they study humans without dogs. 86% of pet owners say their dog makes them feel less lonely. Not somewhat less lonely measurably, reportedly less. That's not sentiment, that's data. During the COVID lockdowns, when social isolation reached a level most people in this country had never experienced, dog owners living alone reported significantly less loneliness than people without pets. That finding was published in controlled research. It held. In 2025, a study published in JAMA found that therapy dogs in pediatric emergency rooms reduced anxiety in both children and their parents so substantially that some patients required less anxiety medication. In an emergency room, where a dog walked in and measurably changed what was happening inside a human body. When you interact with a dog, your cortisol drops. That's your body's primary stress hormone, and it goes down in ways researchers can measure in saliva before and after contact. Meanwhile, oxytocin rises. So does dopamine, serotonin, endorphins. Your body responds to a dog the way it responds to relief. And it's not just stress. Dog ownership is associated with better heart health, lower blood pressure, and improved survival rates after cardiac events, even among people experiencing homelessness. People who have lost almost everything. 74% of those who have a dog describe that dog as their primary source of social support. Not family, not a caseworker, not a friend, their dog. The evidence keeps building. And it all points in one direction. But here's the part nobody tells you. Think about a moment almost every dog owner has had. A day that went completely wrong. Something at work. A conversation that didn't go the way it needed to. A loss you didn't see coming. One of those evenings where you're not sure how you're going to get through the next few hours. You came home, and he was just there. Not asking what happened. Not offering advice. not needing you to explain yourself or hold it together or be okay. Just there, pressed against your leg, or lifting his head, or following you from room to room with no agenda beyond being near you. And somehow, that was enough. Not because he fixed anything, because in that moment, you weren't alone. That's not a story about a dog needing you. That's a story about you needing a dog. And what science has slowly started to understand is why no human being, no matter how loving, can quite do what he did in that moment. Because what dogs offer isn't just company. It's something researchers have been unable to replicate in therapy, in medication, or in human relationships. What research keeps finding and struggling to fully explain is that dogs provide something with properties unlike anything else in human experience. The first is something deceptively simple. They don't judge. Every human relationship, no matter how close, no matter how much love is present, carries the weight of social evaluation. What you said last week, how you looked this morning, whether you're having a good year or a hard one, whether you've been enough. Dogs have no access to any of that. Their response to you is the same at your worst as it is at your best. That kind of unconditional presence, consistent, predictable, completely untethered from your performance, doesn't really exist anywhere else in adult life. The second thing is less obvious. Dogs make us more human to other humans. Researchers call it the social catalyst effect. Dog owners have more conversations with their neighbors, more eye contact with strangers, more spontaneous connection in public spaces. The dog doesn't just help you feel less alone, he actively draws you closer to the people who were already around you. And the third thing is perhaps the most quietly significant. We tell them things. The Fundación Affinity Chair, which studies human-animal interaction, found that people regularly share thoughts and feelings with their dogs that they don't express to any other person. Things that don't have a safe recipient anywhere else. Things that stay unspoken in every human relationship and get said, somehow, to the dog. In a world where the U.S. Surgeon General has formally declared loneliness a public health epidemic, describing it as damaging to the body as smoking 15 cigarettes a day, this is not a small thing. It might be the most important thing. Here's the reframe worth sitting with. We talk about dog ownership as something we do for them. The food, the vet, the walks, the medication, the careful scheduling of our lives around theirs. And yes, those things matter. A pet dog lives longer and healthier with us than without us. But here's what the evidence actually shows. The primary health transformation in the dog-human relationship runs in our direction, not theirs. We live longer. We recover better from illness. We feel less alone. We handle stress differently. We connect more with other people. Your dog is perfectly capable of living without you. He would adapt. He would find his way. 800 million dogs are doing exactly that right now. The data on whether you could do the same without him is a good deal less reassuring. He chose to stay with you, not because he had no other option, not because his biology left him no choice, but because somewhere in the 15,000 years that brought his species out of the wilderness and into your living room, staying became something worth choosing. You give him a home. You give him a longer life and a safer one. He gives you something science keeps measuring and struggling to fully explain, the feeling that you are not alone in a world that can make that very hard to hold on to. So, who needs who more? Here is what the science actually says. Dogs. 80% of the world's billion dogs are already living without us, free-ranging, adaptable, forming their own social structures. As a species, they have never required our care to survive. They predate our domestication of them. They will outlast it, if it comes to that. Human dog ownership measurably lowers cortisol, raises oxytocin, reduces loneliness, improves heart health, extends survival after cardiac events, reduces anxiety in emergency rooms, and functions as a frontline clinical intervention against the loneliness epidemic that the Surgeon General called one of the defining health crises of our time. Your dog would find a way to be okay without you. The evidence that you would find a way to be okay without him is a good deal thinner, which means the relationship we quietly call caring for a pet might be the most essential thing some of us do for our own health without ever once thinking of it that way. He isn't staying because he has to. He's staying because you're his. And you, whether you've ever said it out loud or not, are a little better at being a person because of what he gives you just by being in the room. Call it what you want. Science calls it essential. Tell me in the comments, what's the one thing your dog does that no person in your life quite manages? I genuinely want to know. And if you've ever wondered what your dog actually gets out of this, what he feels when he looks at you, that video is next. Link right here. Subscribe. Because every week, I explain what your dog is trying to tell you.